The courtroom is packed and sweating, and someone whispers, "Did you know over 70% of wealthy people believe money can solve any problem?" As the bailiff calls the room to order, Evan Kline strolls in like it's a gala, cufflinks flashing, jaw tight, and he smirks at the victim's family like they're background noise. His father's security clears a path, and Evan mouths, "Watch this," to a friend in the gallery before he sits beside his suit-sharp attorney. Across the aisle, a mother clutches a folded photo so hard the corners bend, and her son's empty chair beside her feels louder than the crowd. Judge Marin Holt enters, eyes cold as river stones, and the whole room rises like it's scared of his silence. "Mr. Kline," the judge says, "you are charged with vehicular assault, leaving the scene, and obstruction," and Evan's smile barely twitches. He leans to his lawyer and whispers, "Just write a number, like justice is a menu item." The prosecutor, Dana Reyes, stands with a stack of folders and a calm voice that sounds like it's been sharpened on truth. "Ladies and gentlemen," Reyes says, "this case isn't about money. It's about what happened on a dark road when someone decided consequences were for other people." Evan's lawyer, Victor Sloan, rises smooth and theatrical. "My client is presumed innocent, and the state will prove nothing beyond sensational headlines." Reyes turns a page. The only sensation here is the sound a body makes when it hits asphalt, and the room goes dead quiet. Evan's eyes flick to the ceiling like he'd rather be anywhere else, and for a second he looks bored by tragedy. 3 months earlier, Evan is laughing in a penthouse with his friends. A friend slaps his shoulder. "Your dad bought a senator, you can't lose." And Evan grins, "I can't even be late." Outside, his driver's waiting, but Evan tosses the keys and says, "I haven't driven in weeks. Let's see if I still have it." His friends hesitate, then follow, because privilege has gravity and it pulls people into stupid decisions. On the highway, Evan speeds with one hand, the other filming himself. "Troll Taylor's gonna love this," he jokes, not knowing the name yet. A small sedan ahead signals to merge, careful and slow, and Evan swerves around it like it insulted him personally. A bicyclist appears near the shoulder, reflective vest catching the headlights, and for one heartbeat there's a chance to brake. Evan doesn't brake. He laughs, he drifts, and the mirror clips the cyclist with a sickening snap. The bike flips, the body rolls, and Evan's phone captures a blurred scream before it drops to the floorboard. His friends freeze, one of them shouting, "Stop, stop." And Evan answers without looking back. He shouldn't have been there. The driver's seat smells like alcohol and cologne and certainty, and Evan keeps going like the road owes him passage. In his penthouse, Evan scrubs his hands raw, not from guilt, but from annoyance, because blood is inconvenient. He calls his father's fixer before he calls 911, and the fixer says, "Stay calm, say nothing, we'll handle it." Evan looks at the city lights and whispers, "I'm not going to jail," like it's a promise the world must honor. Back in the courtroom, Reyes calls the first witness, the cyclist's sister Lena Mercer, who walks like every step cost her. She sits, eyes red, and the oath catches in her throat before she finally says, "I swear," like swearing can bring anyone back. Reyes asks gently, "Who was your brother?" And Lena holds up the bent photo. "He was the kindest person I ever knew." She describes her brother's night job, his early rides, how he's saved for community college, and the jury watches Evan's face for signs of humanity. Evan stares at his nails, and one juror's mouth tightens like she's tasting something bitter. Sloan cross-examines, voice slick, "Your brother rode at night, correct?" Without a barrier between him and traffic. Lena's hands shake. "He wore a vest, he had lights, he did everything right," and her eyes lock on Evan. "He just didn't have protection from someone like you." Sloan pivots. "The state claims my client fled, but can you say you saw him?" And Lena's laugh is small and broken. "No, I saw the emptiness afterward." Reyes calls Officer Patel, who testifies about the scene. Shattered plastic skid marks that never happened, and a bike twisted like a question nobody wanted to answer. Patel says, "We canvassed 4 cameras," and Sloan interrupts. "No footage identified the driver that night, correct?" Patel answers, "Not that night," and Reyes' eyes flash. "But later, we found more." But the judge allows it, and Evan shifts in his seat for the first time like something finally got through his armor. Flashback. Evan's fixer meets a tow shop owner in a back office, sliding an envelope so thick it looks painful to hold. The owner stares at it, then at the dented sports car in the bay, and whispers, "This is blood money," but his hands still reach. The fixer smiles. "It's just money," and the owner looks away as if that makes it true. Back in court, Reyes introduces a new witness, a rideshare driver who was on the same stretch and whose dashcam caught a flash of a custom license plate. Sloan objects, loud, dramatic, chain of custody. And Judge Holt responds, "Sit down, Mr. Sloan, unless you'd like to explain why evidence keeps trying to disappear." A murmur ripples through the courtroom, and Evan's father stiffens like someone touched his pride. Reyes plays the dashcam clip, and the screen shows a sports car speeding, swerving and clipping the cyclist before vanishing into darkness. The plate is clear enough to read, and Evan's face drains as if the video is pulling color out of him. Sloan stands fast. Video quality is unreliable, but the rideshare driver says it's reliable enough to haunt me every night. Reyes asks, "Did you come forward immediately?" And the driver swallows. "Someone came to my apartment first." The room sharpens, and even the judge leans forward like a blade coming out of a sheath. The driver continues, "A man offered me $50,000 to forget what I saw, and when I refused, he said accidents happen to people who don't cooperate." Evan's father whispers urgently to his lawyer, and Evan's jaw ticks like a clock about to break. Sloan tries to paint the driver as greedy. "So you're here for money," and the driver snaps, "I'm here because I couldn't buy my sleep back." Reyes calls the tow shop owner, and he walks in with shame on his shoulders, eyes glued to the floor. He admits he replaced the side mirror and repainted the door after being paid, and his voice cracks. "I told myself it was none of my business." Judge Holt's gavel hits once, not hard, just final, and she says, "Obstruction has a way of becoming everyone's business." Evan suddenly stands, too fast, chair scraping, and blurts. During recess, Evan corners his father in the hallway, whispering furious, "Fix it. That's what you do. You fix things." His father's face is stone. "I fix problems. Evan, I don't fix you." And it lands like a slap. Evan hisses, "I can pay them. I can pay everyone." And his father finally snaps, "You can't pay back a life." In the courtroom again, Reyes calls the ER doctor who treated the cyclist, and the doctor describes his broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and a final heartbeat that fought longer than it should have. A juror wipes a tear, another clenches a fist, and Evan stares at the floor like it might open and swallow him. Sloan's defense shifts to blame, to doubt, to technicalities, but each word feels thinner than the last. He argues Evan didn't know he hit a person, and Reyes responds, "He knew enough to hide the car and send threats." Judge Holt instructs the jury with crisp clarity. Wealth is not a factor in your deliberations, and her eyes dare anyone to pretend otherwise. The jury files out, and the waiting stretches until even Evan's confidence starts to sound like a lie in his own head. Evan's friend from the club won't meet his eyes. The security team looks away, and for the first time, Evan is alone in a room full of people. Evan whispers to Sloan, "How much to make this go away?" And Sloan pauses, then says quietly, "Not everything has a price." The jury returns, and the foreperson holds the paper like it's heavy, because it is. On the charge of vehicular assault, we find the defendant guilty, and the word hits Evan like an impact he can't outrun. The mother in the front row collapses into sobs. Not relief, not victory, just the release of pain that finally has a name. Evan's father closes his eyes, and Evan looks around as if waiting for someone to stop reality from happening. Judge Holt sets the sentencing date, denies bond, and says, "This court is not impressed by your last name." Evan's wrists are cuffed, and he jerks back instinctively, whispering, "No, no, no," like he's bargaining with gravity. As deputies lead him away, he locks eyes with Lena Mercer, and he expects hatred, because hatred would be easier. Lena's voice is quiet but clear. "My brother would have stopped for you." And Evan flinches like that's the cruelest thing she could say. In the holding cell, Evan sits on a steel bench, suit wrinkled, hands trembling, and the silence is the first thing he can't buy his way out of. His lawyer's words echo, the dashcam echoes, Lena echoes, and Evan finally whispers to himself, "I didn't even stop." Sentencing day, Evan stands again, but this time he can't perform confidence, and his voice comes out thin. "I thought I could fix it." Judge Holt replies, "You tried to fix it the way you fix a bad headline, not the way you fix a broken soul." She reads the sentence years that sound like forever to someone who's never had to wait for anything. Evan's father watches without speaking, because sometimes love looks like letting consequences do their job. Outside the courthouse, microphones crowd Lena, and she says, "Justice doesn't bring him back, but it tells the truth about what happened." Evan is driven away, not in a luxury car, but in a van with barred windows, and the city he owned with money fades behind him. Back in the now, the courtroom empties, and the statistic from the beginning feels different, less like trivia and more like a warning. Because Evan believed money could solve any problem, right up until the problem was a life he couldn't return.